Hey everybody, Ryan here coming at you with a video where I'm going to be talking about the highly controversial film Cannibal Holocaust. I've talked about it years back on my channel, and I've actually haven't really talked about it a lot since. It's probably been about 3 years since the last time I even dropped the name. And the reason why I'm going to talk about this today is because I just recently had a conversation with somebody at work about, the exploitation films, kind of the late 70s exploitation horror, and this came up. And I mentioned the name, they automatically knew what movie I was talking about. They had never seen it. Let me go ahead and put this down a second. They had never seen it, but they knew about it, and they just heard the name and was kind of thrown off by it. And so I decided to open up my mouth and just start talking about the film. And of course, a lot of you guys have already, if you're watching this video, chances are you've heard of it or you've seen it. And it is very, very shocking, and it's very disturbing. But, I started thinking about how some people think it's just a pile of trash. And I even see that there's like reaction videos to people watching it here on YouTube. And, I don't know, I never understood some of the gross kind of people react differently every time they watch a movie, but I never understood like the gross kind of feeling you may get after watching a movie, like saying, oh man, that was a screwed up movie. Like, I don't really think the film is any more disturbing than films, say, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or even Last House on the Left. To be honest with you, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Last House on the Left disturb me so much more than this film does. Mainly because I don't really consider Cannibal Holocaust a horror film. I think when people say that it's a horror film, it almost takes away from the actual message of the film. Like, I don't know, I guess because it is a horrific kind of message, but I think it's way more of a psychological, like it's exploitation horror, but it's more psychological driven. And I don't know, I'm not going to be one of those that tries to read this film and like give you a big essay answer on it, because I could do that, but I like talking in conversation to all of you. And basically, like, I think if you just go ahead and just slap it on as horror, then it kind of shields from what the actual film you can actually take away from it. And that is contrasting basically, civilized society and uncivilized society, and the definition meaning civilized society that we've grown as a species, we have all these great buildings and intelligent beings, and then you have these uncivilized beings of people that don't have any technology whatsoever, and they still live in the wild untouched by society. And it compares and contrasts them, and actually there's some things that make you go, ooh, like, just because they're civilized people now with technology does not mean that they're any better. This film definitely shows that, in my opinion, that civilized beings are definitely way worse, or capable of way worse, than people that were not touched by technology and all that growth. Because all the actions that were put forth by, the people in the wild was almost kind of a retaliation of these people that were sent out there just to do a documentary film that turned psychopath on you, like just completely psychotic. So they were just kind of defending themselves, and their villages were being burned, so of course they would try to kill those people. I mean, they didn't know right or wrong in that area, but they were trying to protect themselves. Yes, some of the rituals and stuff like that they do is very questionable, but we're not questioning, we're not questioning the rituals. And like I said, I'm talking about the one with the guy with the big stone block, and he's basically beating the woman with it and using it in a very unorthodox way as punishment. Some of that stuff is definitely disturbing. Actually, all of that stuff is disturbing, but I'm not talking about how a certain group of people act or some of their rituals that they do. that kind of thing. I'm just literally talking about people that are really just, for no particular reason at all, just start going psycho and burning and killing innocent people. Like, you can't just go into a community and just start burning everything down just to do it. Yes, some of the stuff they believe is very questionable and very horrific in terms of how to treat different people, but like, I don't know, this is all kind of hard stuff to talk about, but that's why I want to get this conversation started on this film. But I definitely do not think the film is as horrific and terrible as people make it seem doing reaction videos to the movie. Yeah, it's shocking, but to me, there's scenes in, like, Hostel and some of the Saw sequels that to me are more disturbing than this film is. And of course, a lot of people talk about the animal cruelty in this film. Within the context of the film, it makes sense that that's what they would do, because they need to, they're basically hunting, but was it necessary to hold the camera on a turtle while they were killing a turtle? No, but of course they were going for that documentary style realism that is in the film. I can do without that. In fact, I think this version I don't even know. I think this version has a choice where you could actually switch to where you could have all that animal cruelty edited out. But all that aside, like, I think it really does put into question of what makes somebody, what's the difference between these two groups of people? The city people or the people out in the wild, untouched by technology? Because you see them both doing heinous acts. And so it's just stuff to think about. But I just wanted to make this video to get this conversation started, because I actually don't think this film gets enough recognition for that. Like, I know a lot of people here on YouTube and people that I know that I talk to about this film feel the same way I do, in terms of it's way more than just a horrific exploitation horror film. It actually has a message to it. And I think it's very, very original and very creative in how it tells the story. The professor going out to find these missing group of documentary filmmakers that are trying to get this, thing made to put on TV, and he goes out to find them, and he comes across the film canisters from the group of people that, are cannibals, per se. And so, basically, they go back to the city with the canisters, made a deal with them, brought back the canisters, and they watch what's filmed so far of the dead, people, the dead youngins that were filming. Youngins, I've never used that term before. I don't know why I just did. But, and then we see the footage, and it's pretty shocking because of how it's filmed too, because it's like, documentary first person style, and you're just like, man, what the heck, man. And it just definitely adds to the realism. And they're all sitting there, and at the end they realize that they probably just need to destroy the tape, because they're not going to be able to show that on TV. And so you get that message too about, like, how much is too much for TV, and so it, lightly touches on that topic too, but really just makes you think about, just because we live in a civilized society, like, and I might even be using the wrong term, not just civilized, because maybe that's just, what else would you say? I don't really, I don't have degrees and all this kind of, theory and all that stuff when it comes to all this stuff. I'm just telling you from a cinephile perspective, pretty much. You know, it doesn't matter, we have all this technology, we're still capable of doing some pretty terrible things. And yeah, this video just really just turned into a random ramble. But anyways, if you are interested in seeing this controversial film, definitely suggest you picking it up. It's on Blu-ray now. I still have, yeah, I'm not gonna show, I don't want to get this video flagged because let's just say I'm glad the slipcover just stays on there. But yeah, I mean, I recommend it if you're into films that, I don't know, not necessarily if you're into disturbing films, but if you're into films that have those kind of messages, you know, about society and the difference in comparing and contrasting and all that stuff. And it just so happens to be a very disturbing, violent film as well. So that's kind of what, you know, takes a lot of the credit, you know, just all that stuff. I'll even be honest with you. When I first saw this film, I went after it because I had heard so much about it, and I was like going through a phase where I was watching all those controversial films. I had like bought like that diamond set of Caligula and watched that too for the first time. That's another film that I could talk about, you know, down the road. But I bought this and I expected it to be so terrible, unbearable, basically, because of what I've heard. I mean, even the back of this says the most disturbing, shocking film that I have ever seen, and it's a quote by Eli Roth. And on the front it says, you know, the most controversial film ever made, and just the way it looks, the name Cannibal Holocaust. I expected it to be non-stop murder and mayhem, and what I got was more of a drama, adventure kind of exploitation, documentary style film that actually had a meaning, that just had some really shocking scenes in it. Now, the first time I saw it, I was let down because I was after seeing, I wanted to see something just kind of, you know, crazy good, like crazy. I was going through that phase that we all horror fans go through. We was like, you know, gore, and I saw this and I was like, that wasn't nearly as crazy as I hoped, but it was a damn good movie. So, but then again, there's some of you out there that probably will think I'm psychotic myself for liking a movie like this. I probably watch it like once every 3 or 4 years. I can't watch it all the time because it is, you know, draining. But anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.